that done. Ha! Thank you, La Diva, all the way from Switzerland. Good morning. Welcome to Spirituality Gone Wild. I'm Debbie G. How's it going, everybody? We're all about reason. And of course, we have to raise the vibration. Guess why? Because it's time for a Cuppa Grata with a shot of expression and 2 squirts of reality. And you know, and I know that this is my favorite code word, David Strickel.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi, David. What's up? Oh, God, I miss you.
Yeah, we neither one of us we got so busy we don't have time to hang out together, but during coffee we do. Apparently I haven't been on this in like over a year.
It has been a while, huh? You have literally, I think you've been with Spirituality Gone Wild almost as you and Karen Palmer about neck and neck, you and Josie. You guys have been with us forever. And today we're going to be talking all about a really exciting summit you can all be part of, but you're also going to hear why you want to do this from me. If you've been watching me for any length of time, you guys have watched my journey over the last almost 5 years. You've watched me go in Huntington Beach and starting out and going through all these things and going to Florida and doing this and doing that, coming back, going to Palm Springs, doing events, meeting David, taking TYA boot camp when I'm homeless, house sitting, my son goes into rehab, no freaking car, no idea where we're going. What the hell? Like, right? That was my life. Seriously. And David said, you know, Debbie, right before all that, he's like, you think you should just really go ahead and take TYA? Now I'm like, okay, let's do that. Shit, I tried everything else. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, so today I want to tell you, we're going to be sharing a story. So David, do you remember those times? Because I'm going to get into what's going on today.
Yeah, I do remember those times. And I remember that you kept your vibe up and you got into boot camp and you did the work and you used your practice, the practice that you've created for yourself over your lifetime, but you took that with the TYA boot camp and amped up all of those skills, if you will, and really change your vibration. And when you change your vibration, because your vibration was positive, but it wasn't abundant. And a lot of spiritual teachers, we sort of have this message that we're not supposed to be abundant. We're supposed to, live under a bridge somewhere and do everything for free and just help the world. And you don't have to, you don't have to do that. You don't have to suffer to help other people. In fact, you are better at helping other people. You're in a better position to help other people when your vibration is high, when you are abundant in every way, not just money. I'm not just talking about money. Every time I say abundance, people get triggered and think I'm talking just about money and always all about Lamborghinis. No, I'm not.
Well, actually, that's a good thing.
Listen to me. I don't even drive a Lamborghini, but if you look at me, I'm not about my version of abundance is whatever you want in your life, but certainly my version of abundance is having a roof over your head and a bed to sleep in and food to eat and clothes on your back. And you were struggling even with that stuff for a bit, but you were still helping people. And I loved that about you. You were still on here helping people. You didn't go in fear and scurry away to some job, which you could have easily gotten with all of your skills. Instead, you doubled down on doing what you do, wanting to bring your message to the world. And I think what boot camp did for you is it gave you that little extra thing that really allowed you to step into your full abundance and your full ability and all of your superpowers that we're all seeing now, which is very impressive. Very impressive.
And I've got gratitude tears. Yeah.
It was quite a journey. But every time, because I've gone
this is appreciation.
Well.
Yeah. Appreciation big.
You look back and you really appreciate all of the muck, because the muck is what creates the abundance, really.
Totally.
The lack of something and you believing that you can move beyond that is you creating something new for you. It's nobody handing it to you or giving it to you or winning the lottery or any of that stuff. It's you literally creating something for yourself that supplies the abundance that's always available from the universe. It's like a conduit for you, which is amazing. Which is amazing. Which is our natural state of being.
It is. Right. Cuppa Grata, David.
Cheers.
Cheers. Listen, y'all, I had gratitude tears. So have you ever been in such a state of gratitude for where you've been that it brings tears to your eyes? But you said something so important. So when everything's that you think is lost and everything you think is gone and everything is just whatever, and you're not playing it safe, you're like, I'm going to go ahead and I'm a bull in a china shop and I'm going in. Keeping that vibe high, knowingness that comes in, but it's a practice and it's a daily practice. And this was the point of me bringing this up, because this daily practice has brought me to the space where we are now working on one of the largest, let's just put it this way, y'all. Next week, 420, 421, and 422, you're going to see me live from Arizona, from the veterans community owned by Bruce Perlowin. And I'm going to be interviewing all of the very famous smugglers that have actually made medical marijuana and hemp, industrial hemp, legal again. And it's absolutely amazing. And when I tell you this, it's because the caliber, the raising of my standards, the understanding of where I was, but being in joy. David, I had to stay in joy the whole time to be where I'm at right now. Oh, by the way, I have the car, I have the house. Okay, I stuck to it. I live at the beach. I'm 2 miles from the beach.
In California, no less.
In California.
You manifest living at the beach in California. That's not like living at the beach in other places, right? That's quite a manifestation.
Yeah. And what I have to say is that it's the practice of TYA Boot Camp. After years of doing it and this knowingness inside of me, there were times I wanted to give up, David. There were times I was like, and I'd go down my spiral. And I'd be like, but instead of like before 10 years ago, going down my spiral and possibly going to a pill or alcohol or something like that, 15 years ago, now I know how to process. I know how to sit down and work my tools and bring myself back up and actually be really okay with being down my spiral, because that's what the hell is needed at the moment. It's for me, not against me. And that is the biggest thing in the world. Everything is happening for us. And TYA Boot Camp is how that you start learning how to live in a way that is for your best and highest good. You're going to learn what your preferences you love and what preferences you don't. And, this has been coming up a lot lately. Preferences. What do I prefer? What don't I prefer? And if I don't prefer it, it's not happening. Okay. And if I have to do something I don't prefer, I don't have to ever do anything. If I'm doing something that I don't necessarily
I love how you're working that out for yourself as you speak. I love it.
Yeah, I do. Seriously. You guys saw that blooper? Yeah. Okay.
Your energy, I need to do this more often, because your energy, I'm a morning person. So your energy right now is just everything for me. It really is.
I love that, David. Listen, let me tell you guys what. We're going to start off. What was my daily practice this morning? I want to tell you all how I woke up. I woke up like my hair was up. I was like this. What time is it? Okay, I can do this. I have been at the desert. I've been doing things like sitting in sand, and hiking and stuff. My body hasn't done it a bit. It was a little tired. It was like, oh my God. So I went over. I'm like, okay? This isn't about how I'm physically feeling. I used to buy that. I used to buy that shit, David. I don't buy that. I don't do that. So I said, okay. So I put on happy, because I'm happy, and I started like putting my makeup on and getting ready to go and doing all the things I needed to do to be here right now. So I had this moment of clarity, as always, because of TYA Boot Camp, where it's like, okay, decision time. Right now is a decision. What am I going to do? Am I going to, I see an old reactive pattern. Squat. Yeah, buddy. Own that. Own it. Like you can just shift it. And if you don't take TYA, well, you're going to be stuck where you are, and it doesn't matter. It's good too. So anyway, David, how do you like that? I mean, seriously, I'm working with people that make shit happen. I'm working with people that say, we're going to have sustainable community and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And we're going to support the veterans and we're going to support battered women and children all over the world. And we're going to do this because we're going to plant hemp and we're giving it to them and they're going to live off of it. And he did it. And he did it. The same man that went to prison because he was smuggling weed, you know?
Isn't it funny now how that's changed so much? You know, I know there's still people in prison for things like that. And then other places it's completely legal. It's changing.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, we need to definitely be a little retroactive with all the people that we have locked up, you know, over weed. That's kind of crazy.
Well, you know, that's all changing too. They're the change makers, but you know, this gentleman is truly one of the most kind. He and his brother are probably two of the kindest men that I have encountered in a long, long time because they put action into what they're doing. They put action into it. And they were smart enough to buy marijuanainc.com and hempinc.com. Y'all want to know who this is? Just go look up Bruce Perlin. Got to get that straight. Wednesday night, guess who I'm interviewing? Do you remember? Oh my God, David. Do you remember Midnight Express by Oliver Stone that won that Oscar?
Mm-hmm.
About Billy Hayes?
I remember the title of the movie, and I'm aware of that, but I can't tell you what it's about.
Okay, well, give me a cup of grata. Ready? You got ready for this? Let's do it. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m., Billy Hayes, right here, right now, Spirituality Gone Wild. And I'll be on stage with all of the smugglers, and I will be interviewing them all at a huge event along with some superstars coming in from Las Vegas, who I'm not going to tell you who's coming. David, remember all this stuff I told you about the stages and about the music and about the festivals and about what we were going to do? Mm-hmm. Yes. Guess what? Just saying.
You're doing it. I see that. I see you're doing it. I think it's great.
So, you guys, this is TYA Boot Camp, and now we're going back to TYA. Because listen, you got to know.
Debbie's had a few cups of grata this morning, I think.
No, I haven't. I had a half a cup of grata.
This is your natural morning flow.
This is my natural morning flow.
I love it.
Wait till I have Bruce on. Y'all are going to trip. He is, I'm not even, it's going to be a big surprise. And he also gets to learn all about TYA Boot Camp. And because we were talking about aftercare for vets, and we've been talking about what type of practices that we can bring to the communities. Battered women and children, that's really dear and near to my heart because I've lived that. I've been there. I know what that feels like. I know. I'm not going to get into all that. Point being, without your dark, you wouldn't know your spark. You got to have practices, and TYA is the practice that you need to be, you could be engaging to change your life right now if you so choose to. So let's talk about this event that's going to be happening this Saturday, April 17th. And plus, you can expand on what I just told you because I just spilled a whole lot, and I'm going to put you on the thing. There you go, David.
Well, we are having a virtual event, and it's not going to be an event that we're broadcasting anywhere. We're actually doing a virtual Zoom workshop. It's called the Stream Summit. It's this Saturday, which is April 17th from 9 a.m. Pacific to 1 p.m. Pacific. We're going to go for 4 hours. So for a 4-hour workshop, and we're going to have a couple of breaks. So you're not like planted at your computer necessarily for 4 hours, but it's going to be a 4-hour event that you can buy a ticket to and come and participate. It's limited seating and interact with myself, with the TYA masters are all going to be there. And I'll get into that in a moment. And then most of it, though, is going to be channeling from the stream. So for ticket holders, you can come in and interact with all of that, the workshop setting, the teachings of the latest TYA teachings, and also interact with the stream. So if you haven't watched, Matt Garden is hosting. If Debbie's not hosting an event of mine, Matt's the other host that hosts very often on my podcast all the time and on my show. Matt's going to host the whole thing for 4 hours. It's going to be the middle of the night in Australia where he is, but he's going to get up at 2 a.m. and host this thing for 4 hours. He'll be wired on coffee as well, or actually. And what we're going to do is intersperse some TYA teachings, some teachings from some sharings from the TYA masters with a whole lot of channeling. Most of it is going to be channeling from the stream. So ticket holders will have an opportunity to be chosen to be face-to-face with the stream, meaning have a conversation. So this is different from what we normally do. Those of you that watch my shows know that typically we will broadcast a channeling session and the host will read random questions and the stream will answer the questions, which is great. I love doing that. But it's not the same as coming on into a Zoom format and actually asking questions of the stream and then getting follow-up questions with the stream, having a conversation, getting real deep clarity and asking anything that you want, because the stream never limits what we talk about ever, 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 ever. There's never going to be anything that they won't answer. They will dive deep into the deepest of topics without judgment or fear, because the stream's teachings are all about how humanity is now ready for the new operating system. We are calling TYA, the TYA practice, just that, the new operating system for humanity, because they've been delivering this now for a few years. And little did we know they were preparing us for this massive shift that we're seeing happening in the earth environment. We all know that it's here. We all know that it's underway. We see a lot of people moving more and more and more into the light. And while we see people move more and more and more into the light, we see other people that are moving in the opposite direction and doubling down on fear and conspiracy theories and
Lord help me.
Spark fear. Well, anything that sparks fear,
Anything, actually, David, anything that sparks fear and anything that distracts you from yourself is bullshit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because you're giving your power away. You're definitely giving your power away. And like we said, there was a brilliant thing about you when you were struggling to get this going. You didn't step fully into your abundance, but you never left your power. You were always positive. You were always in gratitude. I never saw you, down your spiral. Even when you were challenged, even when you had no idea where you were going to sleep, on a particular day, you were not challenged by it the way a lot of us would have been challenged by it. And you kept your vibe up. And I've gone through that in my own way as well, where you're really challenged to share your light with the world. And it's sort of like this human created darkness. And I'm a big believer in that all of the things that we consider dark are our own creation.
That's right.
Humanity's creation of ego. There's nothing projecting into our planet but abundance. That's just all there is to it. Abundance is projecting in. Look out your window. Look at how abundant nature is. Even when winter comes through or storms come through, cause a little bit of destruction, everything springs back. Always, always, always. That's our natural state of being as well. But we allow our ego to hold us away from that. Our fear and our judgment of others, our judgment of self, because we're naturally discerners of preference, right? We are here to discern our preferences and experience the things that we prefer and not include the things that we don't prefer. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you layer that with fear, then we fall into judgment, because your ego gets busy thinking, oh gosh, someone's going to think less of you because of X, Y, Z, or you're not looking the way the Kardashians look, or you're not in the right type of house or the right type of career or in the right type of relationship or whatever it is, then you're less than. But we all know that that's not true. We all know that we are worthy of abundance, and we all want abundance in our lives, whatever that means. Abundance of happiness, abundance of well-being, abundance of health, abundance of fantastic people around us, abundance of money is fine. But that trust is so important. And that's why we created TYA, because trust is everything, because we're all moving through vibrational flow. We go up in vibration. We're connected with source. We are abundant. We're trusting. We're believing. We're loving ourselves. We're seeing the world through the eyes of source when we're up there. But how often are we allowing ourselves to be up there? And polarity, yes, is going to drag us down a little bit. And polarity drags us down so that we can manifest some obstacles, because we came here for that. But then when you manifest your obstacles, what do? Debbie could have gone and started applying for jobs. She could have gotten her resume together and said, well, I don't have any money. I'm going to go find me a job and just get back into the workforce and just forget about all this spirituality gone wild stuff. But she didn't. It never even was a question.
No, David, I love that let's talk about that shift. Because
it was never a question. I know around you at that time more than I'm around you now, because you're
Look, y'all, I got to tell you what, it's like this. You don't know where you're going. You get in your car. You don't know where you're going to head. That's the time to do a shift. And here's how the shift looked for me, so you all understand what I did. This is an adventure. This is an adventure. I don't know where we're going. I don't know what it's going to look like, but man, I'm all in. I said the sacred yes. I work for the divine and I have a commitment to that. Okay, so what am I going to do? But everybody's, oh my God, you slept on the beach with your son in the car? You damn spanking right I did. We made an actual choice to not rent a hotel room because that would have taken at that time all the rest of the money that we had. And I said, well, we would have had like $20 left. I said, it is a gorgeous night. It's late in August. I'm like, what do you think, Christopher? What should we do? He goes, I'm cool. This is a 6'7" child.
For you, he'll always be a child, right?
Well, he's my baby, but he's the most beautiful man in the world, you guys. Oh my God, I love my son. Okay, so I'm not going to get started on that. Listen, I had a decision to make, and it was have an adventure, make the most of this adventure, no matter what. Because here's the deal: like, what's my other option? To be miserable, to be like, oh shit. Oh my God! If we do that, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna have to go. I might have to sign up for Uber. Oh shit, yeah, right. I don't have a car. I'm renting this one that I'm driving. Okay, what? I could have done all that. And if you can see the difference in fear and then judging the situation and oh my God, no, I'm not going to be okay versus what I learned through TYA in a very short time because I'd only been taking TYA maybe 2 months at this time. I knew I had a decision to make to enjoy the experience, to look at things and know that these were my preferences to look at and learn how to love, whether it would have been my desirable preference or not. And other people looking outside of me were flipping out. Holy mother of God. And I love y'all, but your people pleasing, martyring shit isn't serving you. So don't do that. Don't do it. And I didn't listen to that. Listen, they think, but I've got a heart and I care. No, what y'all doing is not taking care of yourself. And that's truth. What you're doing is you're looking outside of yourself. And when I'm telling you,
there's a whole brand of spiritual idealism
that you need to look outside you.
Teachers have to be these selfless people that just give and give and give and give. And we're all empaths on some level. We are all connected. We are all of collective consciousness. We all have source flowing through us. Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
And those of us that tap more into those empathic qualities, it's very easy to absorb all of that energy from other people. And while you're absorbing their energy and feeling the pain of it and judging it as something that's so awful for them, and you're lowering your vibration in the process, you have little to nothing to offer them down there with them. It's sort of like somebody falls down the well and you choose to go down into the well with them to save them, rather than staying at the top and throwing them a rope and saying, hey, I'm going to help you out of this, but you got to do some climbing yourself.
Yeah, and that's it.
True teaching and the true healing comes from is you got to keep yourself out of the damn well.
You have to.
You have so much more to offer up there, right?
Yeah, and not rely on other people to help you do it. You've got to do it yourself. And I love that you said that, because what happens is then if I'm doing it and I'm that example by action, people can see that and it decreases the fear for them. And I love how people are so always, I want to help. And by the way, random acts of kindness are beautiful and glorious. Don't talk about them when you do them.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't do it because you're expecting something in return. Like people think, law of attraction. If I'm broke and I give my last $20 to this person, it better come back to me. Well, you're sabotaging yourself in that, right?
Yeah, that could be a club.
Yeah, if you are guided to reach in your pocket or lend a hand, and you do it in high vibration of just doing it without having someone film it, and not having to come on and talk about it and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that there's a whole lot more power in that. That's falling out of trust. Think about it. The reason we call TYA, TYA, is for trust your abundance. Because when you really trust the universal process of creation, it works brilliantly in your life. But how many things do we do in our society that are less than trustful? Think about it. Think about how many things we do because we don't really trust the universe.
Oh, I got it. Okay, you all remember Welcome Back, Kotter? Epstein.
I'm old enough to remember that. Much of your audience may not be, but we're the same age. Shockingly, you and I are the same age. You look like you're a good 10 years younger than me, but
Oh, that's not even
I
true.
do remember John Travolta was a child.
Yes. So
with hair. That's a lot of hair, remember?
That's got me.
How he held on to until now, and it's suddenly just all gone. But we won't talk about it.
Oh Lord! Now I completely lost my thought. This is good, Val. That's okay. What were we now? I'm just laughing and thinking about freaking Welcome Back, Kotter. Now I'm just all in it. That was a great show. Well, let's try. That's raising your vibration. That's choosing to raise your vibration this morning. Choosing to do something. So right now, no matter how depressed you think you are, no matter how whatever that you're not trusting and that you're judging, think about that. Think about what can I do? I think that song by Farrell is really cool because when I'm happy, I think it's so awesome because it raises your vibration like almost instantly. But another thing I've noticed is, and this is something currently happening that I've witnessed, is somebody's response with mistrust that has to do with their own patterning and triggering and has nothing to do with me. So let's talk about it's not personal and understanding that when people are coming at you with their experience, that we recognize it, we acknowledge it, we love them for it and where they're at, but it doesn't need to be your truth. This is a big deal right now. It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to them.
Empathic quality. The reason that being a quote unquote empath can be very uncomfortable for people is because they're judging the experience of the person that they are interacting with. And
based on experience. Right. Yeah.
Well, based on our programming too, right? You're never supposed to suffer. Everything's supposed to be perfect all the time. You're supposed to have the perfect body and the perfect bank account and the perfect job and the perfect relationship and the perfect house. And we call that the Instagram version of life. That's the stuff people are putting on Instagram. They're not putting their problems on Instagram. They're not showing the past due payment for the car, and all of that stuff on Instagram, or the fight that they had, or whatever. I was laughing last week because right before I went on we do a couple of group meetings in the boot camp. And right before I went on one of the boot camp meetings, this headline popped up that there was a scandal with the Kardashians. And I glanced at it.
No.
And guess what the scandal was?
Oh no, not the Kardashians.
I'm not making this up. David is not embellishing here. I'm not making this up at all. The scandal was that a photo leaked of one of them in a bikini that had not been photoshopped. And that was the scandal. Because there was an actual, and I saw the photo, it did not look bad, but it wasn't that perfect, sculpted completely. I don't know if you call it airbrushed or, that version of them. Like, is that a real person or a cartoon? It was funny to me. And I love the Kardashians. I love what they've created from almost nothing, it seems. I do.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, you got it.
I don't judge anybody for if you can, build an empire out of that, go build an empire out of that. But it was just comical to me that was the scandal, was that a picture leaked. I would be saying, yeah, that's what my body looks like. And sometimes I airbrush it and make it look better for, covers and things like that. But this is what I look like. She didn't look bad. Right, but I just thought that was so funny that in our current day society, in that world, that's a scandal. And it just shows how much we put this facade out there that isn't real. And we do it in the spiritual community too. Absolutely.
Filters.
Yeah, I'm your enlightened guru who never has a problem, and I'm completely at one with source all the time. Well, I've gone deep enough into the stream's teachings and gone deep enough into sharing it with other people and teaching the TYA practice, where I know that going down the spiral and going down in vibration is how we create the universe. This vibrational flow is a magical thing, but we've been taught to fear it. We've been taught to judge it as a bad thing. Oh, I can't be. And, we talk about the spiral, and when people get into boot camp, into my boot camp, they talk about going down the spiral, DTS, or up the spiral. And I make it very clear that TYA is not about never going down your spiral. Mm-hmm. TYA is all about managing and going with the flow of this natural vibrational flow and managing it in a different way without fear and judgment. So you're moving through vibrational flow, you're moving through life experience, and it really is just one experience after the next. Exactly. Hi, Kathy.
I
We are
got it.
having a human experience of imperfection because the imperfection inspires new creation.
That's
And
right.
you start living your life like that and start appreciating every experience that flows through for just what it is, then life does get a lot more magical. Abundance does flow because you're not needing anything to change to be happy. That's the key. If you want to know the secret to TYA, that's it. That's what we teach you. We take 12 weeks and a whole lot of work to teach that, but that's what we teach you. And we're going to be going into that quite a bit on Saturday. But Saturday is a workshop. We're going to teach TYA in the workshop, absolutely, and we are going to offer the stream up for any conversation that any ticket holder wants to have. So it's not just a TYA workshop. It is a anything you want to talk about workshop. Understanding what's going on in your life, understanding your health, understanding your relationships, understanding your flow of abundance, understanding why a lot of law of attraction teachings are telling part of the story, but not fully understanding all of it. Because a lot of law of attraction teachings are really focused on how law of attraction works, which is whatever you think about materializes. But they don't get into vibrational flow. And Debbie, you know that I talk about vibrational flow a whole lot more than I talk about law of attraction.
Yeah, vibration.
Gravity, it's just happening. It just is. But vibrational flow is what's creating this life experience. And you can't get into this stuff without getting into the spirituality of it. We are eternal beings having a temporary physical experience in a human physical vehicle, and moving to that source perspective to operate your 3D reality from source perspective is what TYA is, because you're learning to trust the universal process of creation. So even when everything is falling apart and spinning out and you're sleeping on the beach, when you trust the process of creation, that just becomes an experience that you've had.
That's right.
I went to the doctor last week. I've got some things. Remember that mole that I used to have beside my nose for 30 years?
Yeah.
I got that taken off, and
Right.
this dermatologist was looking me over, and they did some biopsies and stuff, and she took one from my leg and says, "Oh, that looks like skin cancer." I'm like, well, here we go for this experience, right? I haven't got the biopsy back on that yet, but to me, it's okay. That's an experience that if it's that I'm going to flow through whatever that looks like. And if it's not, great. So, it's just interesting how we get ourselves so wound up in fear and judgment of things.
Yeah.
And we're discerners of preference, so you're never going to be completely non-judgmental. But I found that I use the onion analogy a lot. I talk about TYA as peeling away the layers of fear and judgment from our lives, because we are fed a very heavy dose of fear and judgment in our current day society. But the new operating system is where we learn to view the world and our lives and everything in the world from source perspective. And that is a perspective of no fear and no judgment. So we learn to really, that just becomes our second nature in the TYA practice, as you are well aware. But it's just about taking fear and judgment out of any equation, all the way down to the fear of death.
Yeah.
We've gotten deep into that lately, just because our behaviors are so managed based on the fear of poverty and the fear of sickness and the fear of death, very often even just the fear of failure. Think of how many people hold themselves away from doing things because they have that little component of their ego that says, don't do that, don't try that, stay where you are because you might fail and it's going to hurt if you fail.
Drop the mic.
Yeah, and you can kill that off. You can kill that part of your ego off completely, where there's no fear of failure left. And Debbie and I have both faced that in our lives. And I had my experience right around the time that you did, where my nest egg was evaporating and starting my business, and my boot camp started out so strong, and then suddenly everything was winding down, and I let a little fear. I call this vibrational dust. The stream actually came up with that. That this vibrational dust was still present of the old fear-based thinking around money. Mm-hmm. And, when you have a nice pile of money in the bank, it's a lot easier to be very confident about your flow of money, right? Well, when that pile of money dwindles, and when you start a new business, it dwindles quickly. And when it dwindles and you get a little fearful, suddenly the universe is going to say, yes, more of that. Yes, here's something else to be fearful about. And I really spiraled down regarding money for a minute. And it was funny because back then it was like I was like trying to tread water and get back up because I knew I didn't want to be down there. But this new reality set in that I'd manifested for myself of not having a flow of money. And I kept getting more evidence of that. Business slows down, and then, one thing after the other starts to pile on. And I remember when I started to come out of that was when I got a headhunter call. I used to be an executive in the retail industry for 20 years. And I was really successful at what I did. And I got a headhunter call, and she hadn't talked to me in a couple of years. And I have the same cell phone that I've always had. I answered the call, and she told me about this opportunity, and it was a $500,000 a year package. And it didn't interest me in the least. That's when I knew that, yeah, that's right. I don't want to go back to that. I'm not going to go back to that life and doing something that I really don't enjoy. I left all that behind on purpose to do this, regardless of what it looks like, fearlessly and with no real plan to do this. And that was 3 years ago. And so here I am 3 years later, not in that state anymore. But that was a big turning point. That, and then the IRS that showed up in my mailbox. Like I just held it and just laughed. I'm like, of course, universe. Of course, I'm going to get a bill from the IRS from 3 years ago where they suddenly decide I owe them, a few more $1,000s right when at the worst time. I stood at my mailbox and just laughed so hard. Like, okay, I get it. I need to clean up my vibration around this, and have never looked back since. But the funny thing is that it was an experience that I had that I look back now in such joy. I tell my tuna story all the time where, I drove my $90,000 Audi that I still was leasing to Ralph's, and I had enough money in my pocket to buy, I was on keto, to buy tuna. And that's it. Like, what's the cheapest thing I can, eat on this diet? A can of tuna, 79 cents. Who knew? And I bought tuna, and I had a coupon to buy some bacon. So,
oh, you scored. You had bacon and tuna. That's just a
bacon and tuna. That's pretty keto.
Actually, I'm
not at the same time. No, actually, I don't know. I don't know that there's anything that bacon doesn't make better. But sorry, vegans. I love piggies too. Yeah. So
everything's better with bacon and cheese. So
yeah.
But I mean, your ass might not agree with you, but I mean, your mouth will. So.
I'm back on. I eat a lot of avocado and stuff like that too. I'm back on keto now though, and it feels amazing to be off sugar and grain. And there's the stream is not here to tell us to be on any certain diet, but their guidance regarding diet, we can dive deep into that on Saturday. If you come to the event, we'll get really deep into food. But the whole diet thing is preference, first of all, but then understanding that our bodies are filtration systems for our environment. Mm-hmm. Information, smell, chemicals in the air, chemicals in our homes, and we are able to filter anything. But when you're stressed, your filtration system is not functioning properly. So that's where we get sick, and that's where we gain weight, and we do all of these things when we're not allowing ourselves to filter our environment properly. And so it's getting back into that healthy filtration system, and it always starts with mindset. It starts with keeping your vibe high, trusting your abundance, trusting the universal process of creation. That is so important to learn to trust that. I think that's the most important word that we have is trust.
I do too. And it's so much different. Faith is still a hope in something that I'm hoping that comes true. Then there's the hope of having hope and trust that this is. It just is. You don't question, you know it. And this is a practice all the time because my bank account doesn't always look like I like it to look. My preference. Okay. I like it to look bigger. And so I looked at it and I said, I love you. I love every ounce of you. Cute little bank account. And you're perfect right where you're at right now. And you're going to be even prettier as you get bigger. And I love you. Seriously, let's kind of play with the whole idea of playfulness to raise the vibration, because this is one of the things that I do that's probably a key element to how to get your vibe high, to get into trusting your abundance, and it's playfulness. Because the deal is that if you're truly appreciating where your life's at right now, if you're looking at it and you're like, no matter what it looks like, let's talk about how then do you shift that? you have this knowingness of what you want, what your preference is. It's not want. What is my preference of how I'd like my life to look? If you're in TYA boot camp, you get to actually rewrite what the movie of your life looks like. You get to with intention. So now we're going to get into intention setting, which is we're going to go deeper into on Saturday. And I put the link in the chat several times for you guys to sign up for the summit. Okay. So please do that. But let's talk about the intentions, because we talked about how that we keep those vibes high. Playfulness is the best way, I think, because it's just such a freeing moment to laugh, or to go on the swings at the park, or to look at your dog and go, oh, I love you. Aren't you just the cutest thing? He's got a Lola. I've got a Foxy and Monster. I mean, this is such an important part. But let's, David, break it open about intention.
Well, the thing about raising your vibration is everybody wants to raise their vibration. And the TYA practice, we raise our default vibration. Your vibration gets higher and higher and higher. Source is always there. And as you raise your vibration, what you're really doing is allowing the natural source connection to just flow. So when you're allowing that to flow more often, you are very powerful in your creative process. You can manifest amazing serendipitous abundance just like that.
Oh my God, it's just like that.
It is just like that.
Well, okay.
But you can also manifest in the other direction just like that too. Because I have found that if you raise your default, the going down becomes more uncomfortable. And that's what we're dealing with always in boot camp. People get into boot camp and, it's boot camp. It's boot camp. I call it boot camp because it's supposed to kick your ass, because if it doesn't kick your ass, you're not changing your vibration. It's not David's get in and feel good and fairy dust and rainbows and let's all be spiritual boot camp.
Oh, come on.
It's not that. It's not that. If you taught me this word years ago, I never even heard of it. You asked me bypassing, and I'm like, bypassing, what's that? And now I use it all the time because there is such a thing as that.
Yeah.
Oh, love and light. I'm just always happy. I'm enlightened now. Love and light. I just get love and light. Well, then, when you go down your spiral, are you still feeling love and light? Or are you wrecked by your past? Are you wrecked by judgment? Because source is not judging. So here's how you know if you're at the top of your spiral or not. If you're at the top of your spiral, you're not judging any aspect of humanity.
Nope, you're not.
You're not triggered by politics. You're not triggered by behavior that is not your preference. I talk about some deep stuff. I mean, certainly, somebody walking into a supermarket and shooting everyone is not my preference. Mm-hmm. But being able to zoom out to the higher perspective of no fear and no judgment and seeing eternal souls having a temporary human experience, that's source connection. And that's available to all of us. And that's what I refer to as the new operating system. And it's not to always be in that space all the time. It's to have access to that space, to see clearly, to see humanity clearly, to see your purpose clearly. It's deep work, and you don't get there easily because we are taught to live in fear and judgment in our society. So peeling away these layers of the onion is a lifetime of work. But you do get to a point where you've peeled away enough where, wow, life is very different than it was just a minute ago. You hear a lot of people in spiritual circles talk about, 3D and 5D. Sometimes I hear people talk about 12D. I'm just waiting for 24D to show up. The definition of that is operating in our current life, in our current world, on our current planet from source perspective. Just imagine applying that to your life. No fear of anything, no judgment of anything, and just enjoying all that is. And anything that is not your preference is just an experience that you're having. And as soon as you see it as that, your non-preferential experience will dissipate. Right?
Yep.
It goes away.
It goes away. And
I've had people go through boot camp who are, there's certain people in their lives, maybe coworkers or family members. And I'm not kidding. I have someone graduating today. She had a couple of people in her life that were really annoying to her, and they were transgressors for her for different reasons. And in her boot camp experience, both of them moved out of state.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
We don't claim how powerful we are. So to get back to your comment about intention, setting intention, when you make it your way of being, when you are projecting what you want to experience in the moment, and being more general in my intention for the future these days is just let the universe knock my socks off, because I have found that when I'm very general about the future, it's even better than what I would have imagined. It's never the way I would have crafted on my own, but being intentional in the moment, like coming on Cuppa Grata and having a fantastic interaction with Debbie and the audience, having a safe and stress-free commute wherever I drive that car, just having a wonderful time after wonderful time after wonderful time. You start to pre-pave, but be more in the present moment, and you are magical. You are making that moment exactly what your preference is, because you are magical and you're trusting. And then when you get knocked out of alignment by universal forces, meaning vibrational flow, then you're just trusting. You're down there trusting that this is just a low vibrational flow. It's okay. And whatever I manifest down here, I'm manifesting for my own expansion. Because whatever I manifest, I have the power to also solve, evolve through, grow from, and expand in. Because we can. That's why we manifest the bad stuff in the first place. That actually, when you start looking at it like that, it's not even bad stuff anymore. It's just an experience.
Just an experience. It's not even, I love that. It's just is. Thank you very much. And let's talk about doing that shift. I want to give you guys an example that happened before I left the desert. So Christopher's supposed to come back with me. He's out there hanging out with the Marines and doing his thing. And they're building stages. They're doing all kinds of stuff. And I love this, but he's supposed to come back with me. I am like, okay, so I'm getting up at 3:30, 4 o'clock. We're going to head out. You going to be good to do that? Yeah. I'm good. Okay, great. So I get up yesterday morning at 3:30 after 3-4 hours of sleep. And I go and I say, okay, Christopher, it's time to go. Let's get ready. And he's like, I've decided I'm going to stay here. And I said, excuse me? So it's 3:30 in the morning or 4, whatever it is. And my son's changing the plans. And this is key, y'all. I looked at him and I got instantly pissed off because shit wasn't going. I was attached to this. I was attached to the outcome, y'all hearing this, of what this drive needed to look like. I was attached to how my son needed to apparently live his life at that moment too. Y'all listen to me. I went back to start thinking about this, and I said, why? And this is why I say I'm curious with myself. Why would it matter if he chooses to stay here or not, if that's his preference? And I took a deep breath and I said, okay, we're doing a shift. So I wanted to share that because I went into a reactive state, because if you're tired, hungry, or whatever, if you're not in the space you should be, sometimes it really gets challenging when you get these moments that come up and this is how you think something's supposed to go and it's not going that way. That's the time to step back and breathe and use your TYA tools.
We're gonna get into that, because that's a great tool, and we're gonna really get into working on that on Saturday.
On allowing people,
that detuning in the moment and getting clarity in the moment tool is a very powerful life tool for sure.
Totally. I want to get
nothing else. Come spend 4 hours with us to really learn that.
Yeah, you guys need to. Yeah, and then here I'm going to post the link again, but let me give you the grand finale, okay? Because I'm going to give you all what happened, because this is good. So here's the result. Because we're solution based here. We're not about issues. If you have issues, we've got tissues. So I went back and I said, okay, all right. So then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get going, and it's all good and blah, 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 blah. And everything was fine. I hugged everybody, went back. My tire was low. I'm like, oops. So we had this little thing. I'm like, I'm like, I have to go. I know the property loves me, but I have to go. And everything was good. And everything was just perfect the way it needed to be. And my son, here's the grand finale. David, you're going to freaking love this shit. He goes, "Hey, Mom." I said, "Yeah, you were right." I was right about what? About everything. Every single thing. And I looked at him. I said, "It's not right or wrong, baby. It just is." And he looked at me and he goes, "That's what I mean." This is the same kid that was on heroin 2.5 years ago. Get your ass into TYA. Okay?
Well, everything clicked for him. Everything.
Total, dude.
And being back with you is exactly what he needed at that time.
Right. But I mean, y'all, I had nothing to do with his expansion. Do you understand? Those parents out there, y'all think that you need to be teaching your kids some shit because you just woke up and the whole world needs to know. No, 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 no. Stop telling people that. Allowing your children to experience their opportunities of darkness that they can perceive as darkness is the best gift you're ever going to give them. And it's the least codependent you could ever be. So get out of your codependent parenting, but it's my child, because that's bullshit. If you want your children to actually grow up and be human beings that are empowered, allow them the space to be that. And I put this in action, and I put TYA into action, David, and that was the result. And, you know, this is my experience.
Allowing all beings to live their contrast without judgment.
Total.
And as parents, again, think of how much of it is societal programming. That you've got to be the perfect parent. And the maybe number one podcast I've done, the Stream of David podcast, we've had since 2017. I think the one that has hundreds of thousands of listens at this point is the one that's called "Your Parents Were Supposed to Screw You Up." And then the one right after that was called "Raising Perfectly Imperfect Children." So it was sort of the follow-up. It was from the stream shared the universal process of creation, how parents are not supposed to deliver perfection. Parents are supposed to go up and down their spiral. Parents are supposed to deliver contrast to their children. Absolutely. And then the flip is seeing it from the vantage point of the parent.
Yeah.
You're not going to be the perfect parent no matter what. And stepping back as your children mature and allowing them to experience life without fear and judgment. And that may be the hardest thing for anyone to detune, is the fear and judgment around being a parent. And we are fed so much of that in this society. Detuning that is extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. So the Texas came out there. My life's work for the rest of my life is absolutely teaching people to release fear and judgment from their lives.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Judgment of wherever you are in your experience. It's not supposed to be perfect. The fear of what could go wrong or may go wrong. All of the fear of any experience that you may have, even the death experience. It's so funny that we fear death so much, but we're all going to die. We're all going to transition. I don't mind calling it death. It's death. It's transitioning. It's croaking. It's whatever you want to call it. But it is a transition from physical to non-physical. But when we start seeing ourselves as eternal strands of consciousness, eternal beings, again, having a temporary human experience in a physical human vehicle, then that's a big game changer for life.
David, that's good. Let's take a quick dive into this. So we've talked about fear. We talked about judgment. We've talked about how we shifted, about how that there is gratitude and grief. Here's the shift. Once you accept it and you appreciate it with deep appreciation and gratitude, here's what I experienced this weekend alone in my car. Maximum grace. There was a whole new thing for me. Maximum grace. And how did I get to maximum grace? Deep acceptance and appreciation for all that is, period. Without judging it, without any of it, just allowing it to be. That's my perspective. David, let's talk about acceptance and appreciation and maximum grace.
The idea of no longer fearing and pushing against the stuff that our society teaches us to fear and push against, and simply being in that source perspective and understanding that source is not a man in the sky. Source is an eternal consciousness that is powering all of us. and our ego is delivering a human experience of imperfection. Our ego can serve to separate us from that source consciousness, but also humanity has created a vibration of separation for quite some time. That's where religion came from. That's where government came from. That's why we have borders. That's why we have wars. That's why we have all of these things to control people. But we're moving out of that era, obviously. That's why everything's crumbling. Look at what's government, questioning, crumbling. Monarchy, absolutely crumbling. That needed to crumble a while ago, right? These elements of control that it's funny, it's easy for us to judge them as bad now because we're seeing that we no longer need them. But I also see from the source perspective of how they served humanity's expansion, how people allowing themselves to be stifled and controlled got them focused on creating certain things that brought us through this journey of humanity to this point where we are now, where we're able to communicate globally, where we are forced in the last year, we have been forced back into our homes using mediums like Zoom and StreamYard and all these things to find our true tribe globally, to connect in a more physical way, the way that we are connected as a consciousness. Because if somebody is in North America thinking a thought, there is an equal thought being thought in Asia because of a collective consciousness. And now we're able to confirm that by getting together in a 3D way and communicating verbally the way we communicate as the collective consciousness of humanity, the collective consciousness of planet Earth. We are able to confer and say, wow, that religion, those teachings didn't really work for me. And they never really did, and it never resonated. And I'm questioning all of that. And somebody on the other side of the planet is saying the exact same thing, even if maybe they're in a society that isn't so vocal about it because they're not allowed to be yet. All of these things are coming into question. They are all starting to fracture. They are all going to transition at some point. And I'm not saying that to instill fear. I'm saying that to instill excitement because we have been delivered this new operating system. That's what TYA is, a new operating system so that we can operate our lives from source perspective that was already there all along. It's peeling away those layers of fear and judgment that we are taught, that we have created over time, and we don't need them anymore.
Beautiful.
We don't need them anymore.
But we don't need them. I went ahead and put the link up so that you guys can see it. If for some reason you can't click on it, you can't find it, whatever the case may be, pause this and write it down then. Okay? Please. All right? Pause it, write it down. Pause it.
If you're watching on Spirituality Gone Wild, there are some posts with links to get your tickets at Spirituality Gone Wild. If you're a member of the TYA practice, if you're not, go join the TYA practice. There's links in there. The Stream of David page, there's links there as well. We have limited space, and we're going to sell tickets through Friday or until they sell out. So grab your tickets and come be part of this stream for 4 hours. 4 hours of super high vibration, 4 hours of Q&A with the stream, 4 hours of hanging out with myself and the TYA masters, learning more about this amazing practice, and really going into any topic. We aren't setting, we're setting an intention to have a fantastic interaction for 4 hours, but I don't want to get too specific in the intention. I really want the universe to deliver something amazing for everyone that's in attendance. And this is something that we're not broadcasting. It's not going to be broadcast everywhere. It's going to be a private Zoom webinar event that you can come on. It's not going to be broadcast, so you can have a conversation if you're picked. I don't want to promise that everybody's going to be picked. Even in 4 hours, we have a lot of people that are already have bought tickets. So if you're selected, you'll be selected randomly. You can actually have a conversation with the stream. Ask anything that you want. Anything. If you've ever been to like an Abraham Hicks workshop, this is going to be a lot like that, except it's going to be virtual. We're all going to be face-to-face. We're all going to be on Zoom. We're going to be on camera, and you can talk directly to the stream, ask a question, get an answer, and then ask a follow-up question if need be for greater clarity, which I think we haven't done that in a long time. The last time we did that was live in Palm Springs, where you cut us off saying, okay, we've got to move on to other things. There was a line all the way down the audience of people that wanted to come up and talk.
That's right.
That was an incredible feeling. The vibe in that interaction was so high. And when we do these get-togethers, the vibe is super high, and Saturday is going to be that way once again, I'm sure.
It is going to be. It's going to absolutely rock. So you guys, you know how to find the links. Please join on Saturday. Now I'm going to do a real quick promo because it's important. Grateful Living Easing with James Twyman of the Moses Code, one of the most incredible men out there. And he is on the cover of our new Grateful Living. And our new Grateful Living is all about the spirit of abundance. So you guys need to check that out. It's already up, but check your email. And if you haven't signed up for your email, go to Spirituality Gone Wild and do that. There's also the link for the event, for David's event, in there as well. So here's some more fun stuff I want to share with y'all. Okay. Because I just do. This, I'm sorry, David, I'm covering up your pretty face. Here, we're gonna do this really quickly. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, wrong way.
Okay, this here is the Veterans Village Kids Community, April 20th, 21st, and 22nd. We are there to plant 2,000 pounds of hemp seed on Earth Day. We are there the 21st. We're going to have Smugglers Row, and I will be on stage interviewing all the smugglers, which you also see live here during the week. We have live music from Johanna Beekman, from people all over the United States that are flying in. We are going to have, this is right near Pot Cove. It doesn't mean there's pot there. Y'all need to look up Pot Cove in Arizona because it's mind-blowing. And then we have, but it's free. Y'all can come camp. And the reason it's free is because this is the first test run before One Love is there at the end of May. Okay. So it's free. Y'all can come. And there is an online version that you can watch as well. The links are all in the Eventbrite. If you feel like donating to the veterans, that would be Leland, Holgate. I had Leland on the other day. The Warriors for Life America. We're doing this, guys. The community's built. They're going to have a place to live now, and there's going to be healing for everyone included. So that's why to come. It's not about weed. Well, it is kind of about weed, but it's not totally about weed. Well, it's kind of, but I mean, kind of in the fact that we look at plant medicine and spirit medicine as medicine and not, it's plant. It's not a freaking pharmaceutical. Hello. Sorry. Did I just say that word? Oh, Lord. Anyway, just kidding. I'm not going to go there. It's stupid. Anyway, y'all, that's what I have to say about that. We're done. Oh my God, this was so much fun. And I hope that you please join everybody on Saturday. If I can pop in from the desert on Saturday, because I'm going to be there getting all of my ducks my little duckies in a, well, no, there's not going to be getting, my ducks don't ever go in a row. They go off.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know you as one to get your ducks in a row, but that's okay. Everything always works out, right? I'm the same way.
That was perfect. I don't have, my duckies have a mind of their own. So
I'm always flying by the seat of my pants because, whatever. It'll work out.
Totally. Yeah. And we're going to be discussing this stream and this event. So watch, y'all. You know how I am. I include everybody because I love you guys. All right. So peace out. See y'all at the event on Saturday. And next week, if you can come, great. If not, get on the virtual stream. And if that doesn't work for you, then donate to the veterans community. Okay. I love y'all. Peace.
Thank you, Debbie.
StreamofDavid.com.